and I've returned. Today we're going to meet my peace lily. It's not a true lily. It's an imitation lily, I guess. This was probably the first plant, one of the first. I was trying to remember. I think it's the first plant that I owned. I've had it the longest. I think if I did get another one around the same time, it was either the red vein or the pothos, the silver pothos. Neither of them are looking too hot right now. So this one stayed alive all that time. It doesn't necessarily look fantastic. The ends are kind of burned and my kids attack it and stuff like that. Takes a while for all these old leaves to fall off and for the new leaves to take their place. But the new leaves, there's at least one here that doesn't look too bad. It looks very nice, even on the tips. If I were to do it again, I've got it right now in this planter. You can see I should have lined it with plastic or something because it's warped and it's gonna rot away in the bottom eventually, but nothing lasts forever, right? So if I had to do it over again, in addition to lining it with plastic or something like that, I would probably set it in a pot inside. And I would want it in a pot with drainage holes so that I could take it out of the wood thing, water it, drain it thoroughly, put it back in the wood thing. Because even though, at the time I didn't realize this, and so I thought, well, I'll just not overfill it and then it won't overflow. But what happens is these dark tips can be a sign of a lot of things, especially in a peace lily. It can be a sign that it's not getting enough water, which, let's be honest, is a possibility. Especially since I've moved this up to my bedroom. It's the farthest away from the kitchen. And so, I mean, it doesn't always get the water it needs. Peace lilies are also particularly sensitive to chlorine in the water. So if you are going to water a peace lily with tap water, then it's best to let the tap water sit out overnight so that the chlorine has a chance to evaporate, or you can use filtered water. So while peace lilies are easy to keep alive, they're not necessarily super easy to keep looking good. But they don't need a ton of sun. As a general rule, the darker the leaves are, the less sun they require. So, doesn't need a lot of sun, and when it needs water, then the leaves are super dramatic and they will wilt. So it's easy to not kill it, but like I said, these tips are something else. Back to why I would want it a good drainage pot. Also, as you're watering, then the water will evaporate and such, but it leaves different deposits, particularly we have really hard water here. So it leaves a lot of salts and I think this can be an indicator of a buildup of boron. I don't know. These words that I read on the internet, some of them make sense. Some of them I just repeat and I don't really know what that means. But if you have a pot that drains well, you can get it full and let it run down, and that can help rinse out the salts rather than letting them remain in the pot. So whereas I have this wood thing that I don't really get to fill up and let it drain, I feel like it's probably got a lot of buildup of stuff. It's probably been... This plant is probably about as old as Melody, so it's probably got 5 years of stuff in it. I don't know. So yeah, anyway, that's my peace lily in all its tattered glory. Also, keep in mind, they are poisonous, so try not to eat them. They can also irritate your skin if you touch them a lot and then don't wash your hands. So here I've been touching it. I should go wash my hands after this. So anyway, that's my peace lily. And when I got it, it was blooming and they have beautiful blooms. They're not I don't know. It's almost like a leaf that comes up curled around the like the stamen and the pistils. But ever since that first season when it bloomed, it has not bloomed again. And again, that can be an indicator of any number of things. It could be a lack of light. It could be too much light. It could be not hot enough. It could be too hot. It could be too drafty. It could be not well circulated air. It could be too much water, not enough water, too much fertilizer. It could be any number of things. And so because I've had this one the longest, I've kind of slipped into just kind of, I've gotten lax in taking care of it. And I used to want it to bloom, and I used to worry about why it wasn't blooming. And at this point, I've just accepted that it's possible that this peace lily may never bloom again. And that makes me a little sad, but it's not an uncommon thing in peace lilies. So whatever the problem is, here it is. So, yeah, this is Lily. For the book of the day, I'm running out of books that I own that I really love. Like, I don't keep a lot of books unless I absolutely love it and then I find it at the DI. I don't really keep a ton of books. So I realized I had neglected a huge piece of my literature favorites. Like, if a millennial has a segment where she talks about her favorite books and she doesn't talk about Harry Potter, is she even a millennial? Like, anyway, all things aside, Harry Potter was a large part of my childhood. And really, I think you'll hear a lot of people say that this is what really got them into reading. I was in reading before, but I was fully immersed in this. And at this point, I don't have to sell it to you. You've probably already read it. Or you've tried to read it and you didn't really like it, so that's okay. But I not only imagined, like, I didn't just read these and sit there and imagine, like, man, I'm at Hogwarts learning magic, flying on a broomstick. My sisters and I definitely went out in the backyard and played Harry Potter and pretended we lived in the dormitories and flew on broomsticks and played Quidditch. So, and that was when I was probably, I don't know, 3rd or 4th grade still. So anyway, it was a big deal growing up. It was one of the first experiences, one of the only experiences I had in being addicted to, like, I've just got to read that right now. I definitely bought into the crazy, like, they definitely hyped it up with their releasing it at midnight and all of those things. So this was actually, incidentally, the film adaptation of Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone was the first movie that I ever saw in theaters. My family and I went for my 11th birthday. So that was just last year, and we loved it. Just kidding. Anyway, so Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, J.K. Rowling. It's a very magical chance to use your imagination. Alrighty, so for the song, I wanted to play, I'm having a hard time staying focused, and so I end up looking for a song to learn, and then, or like finding a song that I could play, like day of, and then I come across more songs that I'm like, oh, I could learn that. So finally, at this 10:30 hour, I just decided that I needed to just sit down with books that I already knew, and I found a song to play. So this is Variations by Dmitri Kabalevsky. And in the beginning, it has a short introduction, and then it introduces a brief theme, and then there are, I think, 12 or 13, 12 variations on this theme. So it starts out very simple, and it gets more and more complex as we go along. So Hopefully I don't blow this. I always, when things start to get intense, I start to get nervous and then I collapse. So let's pretend like I'm calm and I'm not going to mess this up. It's going to be fine. Well, I didn't choke too bad. Just right at the end, where I usually do, but that's okay. So that was Variations by Kavalevsky. I don't usually go for modern music, but I make an exception for this one. I enjoy it. It's still melodic and rhythmic and not too crazy. So anyway, I'll see you tomorrow.